Good morning. I'm Rob Krest, the Chief Executive Officer at the Connecticut Historical Society, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the opening of two new exhibitions this morning. The first is Freedom Journey 1965, photographs of the Selma to Montgomery March by Stephen Somerstein. The exhibition is organized by the New York Historical Society, and it will be on view in our galleries through August. The second is Connecticut Freedom Workers, Remembering the Civil Rights Movement. The exhibition was curated by the staff of the CHS and will be on view through October. At the CHS, we often say that we're about American history, seen through the lens of Connecticut. Sometimes when we choose temporary exhibitions, there are a lot of things that we take into consideration, such as, do we highlight aspects of the permanent collection? Sometimes these temporary exhibitions can focus on new acquisitions or new scholarship. Or in this case, they can respond to current events and how these events shape our thinking and our communities. Events earlier in 2020, such as the murder of George Floyd and the demonstrations in support of the Black Lives Matter movement across the globe, were stark reminders that although much progress has been made with civil rights, there's much more work that needs to be done. The images and stories presented in these two exhibitions remind us of the bravery, hope, and optimism that's evident in the civil rights activists in the 1960s. These characteristics are needed in our society today more than ever. I hope that you're inspired by the images and the actions taken over 50 years ago, and that we all think more deeply about inequality and the continued need for social justice. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our Chief Curator, Eileen Frank.
Thanks, Rob. When we selected this exhibition to come to the Connecticut Historical Society, we were really taken by how Stephen Somerstein was able to capture the historic march from Selma to Montgomery. Not only did he have unfettered access to the celebrity activists, names that we still recognize, like the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife Coretta Scott King, Rosa Parks, and Bayard Rustin, but he also really turned his lens to the everyday citizens who lined the streets or marched in them. His photographs, which are incredibly personal and poignant, show how so many people gathered to cheer on the marchers and also to sometimes jeer and be hostile towards them. This event, which occurred more than 50 years ago, resulted in eventually having President Johnson sign the Voting Rights Act, and it is an incredibly important milestone in our nation's history of working towards social justice and racial equality. It is our deep pleasure to bring this exhibition from the New York Historical Society to the Connecticut Historical Society. We hope that you'll be able to come visit at our galleries at 1 Elizabeth Street in Hartford, and to learn more information, visit us at chs.org.
Eileen, can you talk a little bit more about the Connecticut Freedom Workers exhibit and why that was chosen as a sister exhibition to be displayed alongside of this one?
It's so important for everyone to realize that the civil rights movement of the 1960s was not a Southern issue, it was a national issue. And here in Connecticut, we faced our own issues with segregation. And the people of Connecticut, Black, white, everyone, people from faith communities, people from working class communities, there were several people in particular who really were very involved in that movement. So we wanted to make sure that we reflected Connecticut's role in the civil rights movement of the 1960s. Through our great research historian, we were able to contact 6 individuals and interview them about their experiences, and those personal narratives, I think, really bring this home and make this a story about personal action and personal decision making and living within your values. So it was really important for us to highlight that Connecticut aspect.
Thank you. Any other questions?